Welcome to the Achieve Results Now podcast, the podcast that gives you immediate actions you can take to start seeing life-shifting results now. Welcome to the Achieve Results Now podcast. This is Mark Cardone.
And Darren Fight.
Hitting on goals today.
Yes.
People out there listening, we have goals. It's funny, we're recording this and it's like the second week of March.
Right.
And New Year's seems so long ago and resolution seems so long ago.
Yeah.
And I love checking in with people. I love the month of March because it's a great time to just do like an assessment. The quarter's ending.
Right.
Where are we and what kind of progress are we making? And surprisingly, a lot of people aren't making as much progress as they thought they would.
Yeah, and if you live in the Northeast, we've been through quite a winter, and so lots of times, and even in winter with less light in the Northeast, depression can happen, and a lot of it's real. And we were just talking today. The sun is shining today, and it's going to be fairly warm for where we are. And we're talking like, wow, this feels good. You don't realize, like, even though I don't feel like I get depressed in the winter, it's not as fun,
Sure.
And when the sun is shining, it's way more fun. So that definitely is a real thing. But getting back to goals, and like you said, being in towards the beginning of March, New Year's does feel quite a ways away. And I've always liked having monthly goals and monthly checkups. And then, like you said, as the quarter's beginning is going to be coming to an end at the end of this month, that's just another great way. I think if you're in business and you're running a business, this is just kind of part of what you do. But applying that to your personal life, it can be just, if not more, helpful to you. I know the analogy that coming up through being part of the fight game is you're in a 12-round boxing match, the 12 months, and did you win the first round? Did you win the second round? And let's say the first 3 rounds weren't very good. Well, we still have 9 rounds left. What do you have to do to make sure you ensure the win? You got to start the winning streak, so I think that mindset always helped me, is like, it's never over. It's never over. There's still time.
That you said, what do we have to do, right? Because I think what people think, like we were just talking about, you look outside and I feel better, right? Like the sun's out, I feel more motivated. But that feeling only lasts so long. It really comes down to, achieving goals really comes down to action. And, what we're talking about today is 3 things, that might be missing in your goal setting strategy, that will help propel you regardless of how you feel. And I think that's obviously, the way we feel plays a huge role in how much action we take, how motivated we are, and things like that. But one of the quickest ways is to take specific actions. And we have 3 really good ones today that'll help you achieve your goals faster.
This first one we're going to talk about has been around for a long time. I mean, this is something I learned decades ago. I don't remember from whom I learned it from. But it's such a small little thing that you can almost gloss over it. And I think anybody that is new to goal setting, it's easy not to do, because you think goal setting is something else. And that is, you want to become the type of person who is the question. And really what it is, it's not just setting your goals in the affirmative, but putting yourself in that goal statement like you've already achieved it. Right. So there's a balance of doing that, but also the visualization of it as well.
100%. It's putting yourself in, it's embodying what you want to become, in your goal process. And I think part of this, like a very easy way to do this is to think, okay, so 5 years from now, once, I've achieved the goal, or once once I'm the person who achieved that goal, or who is this person that I want to become? And then backtracking, like, well, what does that person do? What does that person do on a daily basis? What does the person eat? What phone calls does the person make? How does the person do business? And then becoming a person who just does those things, and it's almost overly simplifying, somebody who's fit, if I know somebody who's fit, they're not working out 7 days a week and not eating anything, but in our brain, like when I talk to people who are going on a fitness journey, the first thing they do, we had a great podcast with Emily Gozi, last week. The first thing they do is they cut out all food and they start exercising 7 days a week.
Right. Right.
And when you put logic to that and go, well, do any fit people I know actually behave that way? They don't.
Hmm.
Because
Yep.
it's just not effective.
And it's changing and adjusting how you see yourself is a big thing as well.
Mhm.
So that's why, just like you program a computer, not that people write code. We can have we can have AI write code now, but the whole idea is you got to program your mind to see yourself as the person you want to become. And the simplification of it is like when you're teaching kids how to be responsible and have a good work ethic. The opposite of that would be, okay, here's money. Now do this. They get the money first, and then hopefully they end up doing what you want them to do. That's the exact opposite what you want. You want to teach them to sacrifice. You want to teach them to put themselves out there. You want to teach them to work hard, and then maybe they'll receive a result afterwards. Um, and you have to teach kids that. Well, we have to do the same thing with our goals, but we have to see ourselves there. We have to feel ourselves there. And I think a lot of it is taking, like you were saying, is taking the actions. So if you're thinking of a person that exercises a lot, what actions are you taking of a person that exercises a lot? And that's what you have to make sure you're doing.
So, really becoming the person, not just, dreaming is important and thinking about what you want to become is important, but taking the actual actions. And if you don't know what the actions those are, a great thing we always talk about is get a mentor, get somebody who's done
Right.
it, get a book written by somebody who's
Mm-hmm.
done it, listen to a podcast from somebody who's done it and get advice there, because I think a lot of people misconstrue which actions go to the
Right.
lifestyle, not necessarily the result,
Yeah.
because we've seen people really burn out,
Yeah.
and achieve goals in a short period of time. And then what happens naturally is it's unsustainable and then they fall
Right.
off, right? But I
Yeah.
think, find those people who have sustained long-term success that you want to achieve and find those action steps.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and I think this is something that can be very difficult because it kind of goes down to how you see yourself, your self-esteem, your vision of yourself, and I think you have to have belief, but I think there's a lot to be said about fake it till you make it, and I know some
yeah,
people are like, I don't know if I like that, but one of the things if you're learning how to public speak, one of the things you need to do is you need to fake it till you make it. The first time you speak in public to any more than 10 people, that can be super scary. So if you don't put your body in a confident and your mind in a confident state, your body looks confident, you're going to have trouble. You're going to stutter, you're going to stammer, you're going to forget where you are in your speech. And so you have to fake it. You got to fake like you are confident. You have to fake like you know what you're talking about. And what happens is that's just practice. That's all it is. So it sounds not so good in the surface, but really what it is you're practicing the way you want to perform. Just like when we take our students through Spotlight. Why do they do Spotlight? We have them perform their material in front of others. So that way, when they go up on the graduation, they look much better because they've already practiced it. They've already made any mistakes. They put themselves out there. And that's a lot of the same thing with your goals is you need to make sure that you're visualizing them in your head that you've already achieved them.
absolutely. So step one, become the type of person who, right? Become the person. Step two, I really like, and it's, and this is something that I've been doing a lot more recently, but it's about building a system, not just a goal.
Right.
And it's really, and we talk about this often, but it's really about not necessarily making the goal, but making the process, making the
Right.
steps the goal. So if the goal is fitness, the actions are work, maybe, take karate 3 days
Mm-hmm.
a week.
Right.
And that's, so that becomes the goal, right? That 3 days a week because it's
Right.
controllable. It's something that no matter what, if my body fluctuates, if my weight fluctuates, if my mood
Mm-hmm.
fluctuates, I can still achieve my goal because it's
Right.
something I directly control.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is setting yourself up. Like if you want to get in better shape, it's saying I'm going to exercise 3 days a week. Um, that's a system. And if you get deeper, that it's going to be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, And then if I miss a day, here's my alternative days. That's a better system. So that's what we're really talking about, is making sure that you're putting it into your schedule and being realistic with it, right? If you are going from no workouts a week and you add one a week, that's realistic. You start with one a week, you're going to realize how much better you feel after that workout, and you're going to want to do it a second time a week, and then you build up to three or four, right? And that's how you build the system. But the goal itself isn't going to get you there. You got to how do you plug it into your schedule? How is it going to work for you and your family? That's really what you want to do.
And you know, one of the tools I've been using lately, probably for the past 3 or 4 months, that really helps with this, that I recommend, because you can literally find it for free pretty much everywhere. But it's Darren Hardy's
Oh yeah.
weekly rhythm
Yep.
register.
Yeah, he's great. He's
Yeah,
great.
Darren Hardy's great. I think that's from the Compound Effect.
Probably,
Um,
yeah.
but you know, the weekly with rhythm, I'll never be able to say weekly rhythm register in one sentence. But it's essentially just a grid where you write down those actions that you want to take. You write down how many times you want to take them that week, and then you put little check boxes, so you can keep track of how you're doing throughout the week. It's super simple. That's why I like it, because at the end of the day, I can just look through my things and go, "Oh, I didn't do this," and then I can kind of say, "Well, why didn't I do it?" and go from there. But
Yeah,
great
and,
tool.
and to give him a little bit more of a plug, if you need to learn how to about systems, so if you want to expand our tip number two to the extreme, he's one of the best ones out there, and his material's up to date. He's still active. He's still doing seminars. He's still making new things or recreating or whatever you want to call it. But it's really good. In the book, The Compound Effect, if you haven't read that, it's a great book, and it's not something you can passively read. It's not a book of fiction that you can and you're going to be entertained. It's going to be like, oh, I got to get to work on this. I got to, and there's exercises, and so just be ready if you do that book to do it fully, so that way you get all the results from it.
I mean, step three is really sort of tied into this. These two weld really well together, but it's about measuring your progress by the process, not just the outcome. So it's about,
Right.
really looking at your week, and your
Mm-hmm.
day, and patting yourself on the back and celebrating the accomplishments you made, the actions you took, because literally just sitting there, if you own a business and saying, well, how much money did I make that this week?
Yeah.
Yes, that is the benchmark for running a business.
Yep.
But if you own a business, that fluctuates. And sometimes,
Yep.
sometimes you could have good months and bad months,
Right.
but being consistent in your sales approach, being consistent in your
Right.
service, being consistent in your contribution, those things are what are going to matter in the end,
Right.
right? And lead to that bottom line. So really looking at what you did that week and patting yourself on the back and celebrating it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one of the things we have in the martial arts for our instructors that we talk about with our students is progress, not perfection. So we know that we're not going to be perfect with everything. I mean, we can work towards excellence and all of those things that we want to do, but we really want to make sure that our students are seeing progress. We want to make sure as instructors we're progressing and getting better. And what that does is a couple things. Number one, it points out and highlights your accomplishments, like you said. It's going to build your self-esteem. It's going to make you feel better, make your students feel better. But at the same time, you're chasing a goal that's realistic. If you're chasing perfection, we know that's not going to happen, but if we're chasing really excellence, which progress leads to excellence, especially if you're progressing every day, the compound effect of it, that's really where we want to put our focus on, and that's going to help you tremendously with your goals.
So I've never met anybody perfect.
Yeah.
And when I have met the people I thought were perfect, it
Yeah.
turns out they're not perfect.
No.
So when you're striving for that perfection, I think it's a
Well, the
non-starter.
exception is your wife. She's
My
perfect
wife
for
is
you.
perfect. She is
For you.
perfect.
Yeah.
Today's our dating anniversary.
Oh,
22 years. Isn't
that
that
you know
crazy?
that is pretty cool.
Happy anniversary, darling.
Oh.
But so let's rewind. Let's go back through these steps.
Yeah.
So if you want to get to your goals, these are those 3 steps that might be missing in your process, right? And
Yes.
adding these in will help you accelerate your progress going
Hmm.
forward in the next quarter. So number one, become the type of person who. So not just setting the goal, but becoming the person and taking the actions that person, the type of person who has what you want, take?
Yep. Number 2 is build a system, not a goal. So meaning that you take your goal, but you want to systemize it and make sure that each week you're doing something towards that goal, and you put it into making it a habit and a routine in your life.
3, measure progress by the process. So measure how you're doing. Congratulate yourself for the progress that you're making, the steps you're taking. Don't aim for perfection. Just aim for that progress, because that's what eventually is going to get you to the results that you want. And that wraps up this episode of the Achieve Results Now podcast. Thank you for listening, everybody. Share this with somebody who would enjoy it, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Hop over to our website at www.achieveresultsnow.com to get your free copy of our book, Ignite Results, 4 specific daily actions to help you achieve results now. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Achieve Results Now. Thanks for listening, commenting, and subscribing. Now get out there and achieve results now.